Story 1. The phone that shouldn't have answered. Have you ever been home alone late at night, when the silence feels a little too loud? That's where our story begins. Imagine you're scrolling on your phone, the only light in the room coming from your screen. Suddenly, your phone rings. It's an unknown number, but as you look closer, your blood runs cold. The caller ID isn't just unknown, ... It says your number. It's your own phone number calling you. Your heart hammers against your ribs. How is this even possible? Is it a glitch? A prank? After a moment of hesitation, your curiosity wins. You have to know. You slide to answer. You lift the phone to your ear, your hand trembling just slightly. "Hello," you whisper. The voice that answers is a nightmare. It's your own voice, but broken, distorted, and full of static, like a recording played through a broken speaker. It gasps. Don't leave your room. You're frozen, unable to process what you're hearing. The voice continues, choked with panic. It's already inside the house. Before you can even scream, the line goes dead. Just then, the lights in your entire house flicker and die, plunging you into absolute darkness. And that's when you hear it. A soft, shuffling sound coming from the living room. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, and getting closer. Your phone buzzes in your hand, lighting up the darkness. A text message from your own number. It reads, "Don't breathe." It hears you. You clamp a hand over your mouth, trying to silence your own frantic breathing. The footsteps creep down the hallway, each one a hammer blow to your sanity. They stop right outside your bedroom door. You stare at the door, your eyes wide in the dark, praying it's just your imagination. But then you see it. The doorknob. It begins to turn, slowly, silently. Someone or something is trying to get in. Your phone rings again. Shaking uncontrollably, you see the same caller ID. Your number. You have to answer. You have to know what this is. You tap the screen and hold the phone to your ear, not daring to make a sound. This time, the voice on the other end is a clear, terrified whisper. It's still your voice, but it sounds like it's right next to you. "I'm right behind the door," it whispers urgently. But so is something else, ... Something pretending to be me. A long, dark shadow slides under the crack of your bedroom door. Your mind finally puts it all together. The calls, the warnings, the thing in your house. The voice on the phone was a warning from yourself. A future self. A trapped self. It doesn't matter. All you know is that you made a terrible mistake. You never should have answered that first call. The doorknob clicks. The door slowly begins to open. Story 2. The wrong bus. The last bus of the night rumbled to a stop, its headlights cutting through the thick, inky darkness. I climbed aboard, grateful to be out of the cold. The bus was nearly empty, just a few scattered passengers sitting in complete silence. The air inside felt colder than it was outside, and an unsettling quiet hung over everything. I found a seat near the middle and tried to relax, but a strange feeling of dread crept up my spine. A few stops later, the doors hissed open again. A woman with long, messy hair and torn clothes stepped on. She kept her head bowed low, and her movements were stiff and jerky, almost unnatural. As she walked down the aisle, I felt a powerful, instinctual urge to look away, to not meet her eyes. I stared out the window, pretending to be lost in thought, but I could feel her presence getting closer. To my horror, she sat right next to me, even though the bus was practically deserted. A faint, almost inaudible whispering started. I could feel her twitching beside me, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw her head slowly turn towards me. I glanced at the other passengers. Their faces were pale, their eyes wide with terror, but they all remained silent, frozen in their seats. My heart pounded against my ribs. What was happening on this bus? Suddenly, a hand gripped my shoulder from behind. I nearly jumped out of my skin. An old man leaned in close, his voice a raspy, urgent whisper. "Don't look at her face," he breathed. "Whatever you do, don't look. She's not alive." A wave of ice-cold fear washed over me. I wanted to dismiss it as a prank, but the sheer terror in his voice was real. I kept my eyes locked on the window in front of me, my body rigid with fear. That's when I saw her in the reflection. Her head was tilted at an impossible angle. Her face was a twisted, hollow mask pale, gaunt with dark, empty sockets where her eyes should have been. And then her reflection's eyes met mine in the glass. I froze, unable to breathe, unable to move. A silent scream was trapped in my throat as her lipless mouth stretched into a horrifying grin. Just as the bus slowed for the next stop, the old man yanked me out of my seat. "Now, we have to get off now," he shouted, pulling me towards the door. We stumbled onto the pavement just as the doors hissed shut. As the bus pulled away, I looked back. The woman was standing at the window, her blank, corpse-like face staring directly at me, her expression utterly empty. Panting on the sidewalk, I turned to the old man. He looked shaken. "That bus... It was in a terrible accident on this route years ago," he explained, his voice trembling. "She was the only one who didn't make it. Some nights she comes back, looking for someone to take with her. She almost chose you." I stared down the empty road where the bus had disappeared, realizing I hadn't just taken the wrong bus. I had almost taken my last ride. Story 3. The neighbor in the dark apartment. I just moved into this old apartment building, and right from the start, something felt off. The apartment right next to mine was always dark, no lights, no signs of life. I asked around, and everyone, the landlord, the other tenants, they all said the same thing. Nobody lives there. It's been empty for years. But I know that's not true, because every single night I hear things. At first it was just faint footsteps, like someone pacing back and forth on the old wooden floors. Then came the whispers, too low to make out the words, but they were definitely there, seeping through the walls. Some nights it sounded like heavy furniture was being dragged across the room, scraping and groaning. The creepiest part. Whenever I walk past that door, I get this chilling sensation, this undeniable feeling that someone is standing right on the other side, listening, waiting. Last night, it got worse. I was trying to sleep when I heard a soft, rhythmic knocking, but it wasn't coming from my door. It was coming from inside the empty apartment. My heart was pounding, but I had to see. I crept to my front door and looked through the peephole. Across the hall, a tall, dark silhouette was standing motionless in front of the neighbor's door. I blinked just for a second, and suddenly the figure was gone from their door and was pressed right up against my peephole, a distorted face filling the lens. I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. As I watched in horror, the doorknob on the empty apartment across the hall began to turn, slowly, deliberately, all by itself. I was completely frozen. Then my own door started to shake violently, like someone was trying to break it down. A raspy voice whispered from the other side, so close it felt like it was in my ear. "I used to live here. Let me in." This morning, I cornered the building's security guard, desperate for answers. His face went pale when I told him what happened. He finally admitted it. The tenant who lived in that apartment died in a tragic accident years ago. He said no one has rented it since. It's been sealed shut. The guard looked at me with pure fear in his eyes and said the man's spirit never left. It's still there, wandering the halls, trying to find a way back into its home, and it will try to get in through any door that opens. Thanks for listening, and be careful who your neighbors are. Story 4. The Man on My Mum's Bike. It was almost 3 in the morning, and the industrial district was completely deserted. I was just wrapping up my night shift when a sudden crash shattered the silence. A rock had just sailed through one of the office windows. I froze, my heart pounding against my ribs. I looked around, but there was nothing. Just empty streets and the eerie glow of distant streetlights. The air felt heavy, thick with a sense of dread. I grabbed my stuff and practically ran out of there, feeling like a million unseen eyes were tracking my every move. My car was parked a block away, under a flickering lamppost. As I got closer, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The driver's side door was slightly ajar. I always lock my car. Always. Had I forgotten tonight? I cautiously opened the door, my hand hovering over the back seat, expecting to feel someone. Nothing, but the feeling of being watched, intensified, like a physical presence in the car with me. I slammed the door, locked it, and sped off, checking my rearview mirror every few seconds. The empty road behind me offering no comfort at all. I was too wired to go straight home. I decided to bike over to my friend's place, needing some company to shake off the paranoia. The moon was bright, casting long, distorted shadows across the pavement. As I rode, I heard the faint sound of another bicycle approaching from behind. It was slow, rhythmic. A figure passed me, and for a split second, our eyes met. He had a wide, twisted smile on his face, a look of pure insanity. But it wasn't his smile that sent a jolt of ice through my veins. It was the bike he was riding. It was my mum's, that distinct floral basket, the slightly bent fender. It was hers. I turned and pedaled for my life, my lungs burning, my mind screaming. I burst through my front door, ran to the garage, and my worst fear was confirmed. My mum's bike was gone. Its empty spot was like a gaping wound. Then I glanced outside at my car. The back left door was wide open, the same one I was too afraid to check earlier. It all clicked into place. He wasn't just some random creep. He had been in my car. He had been waiting in the back seat the entire drive home. He had been in my garage. He had been watching me this whole time, and now he knew exactly where I lived. The world tilted, and I realized I wasn't safe anywhere. The real horror was just beginning. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Story 5. The Payphone That Knew My Name. Write key points. I was walking home late last night, the kind of quiet where every sound feels amplified. The streets were empty, lit only by the occasional flickering streetlight. As I passed the corner of Maple and Elm, something impossible happened. An old, forgotten payphone, covered in dust and graffiti, started ringing loudly. I froze. Payphones haven't worked in this city for over a decade. There was no one around, just the echoing, insistent ring cutting through the silence. My heart was pounding, but my curiosity was even louder. I mean, who wouldn't be curious? I walked over, my hand hesitating above the receiver. Finally, I picked it up. The static was thick, like listening to a storm from miles away. Then a whisper. A shaky, terrified voice on the other end said my full name. It was chilling. But what was even more unsettling was that the voice, it sounded familiar. It sounded like my own. The voice claimed it was me, calling from a different moment in time. It was frantic, begging me to listen. "Do not go home," it pleaded. "Someone is waiting inside for you." Just as it said that, the traffic lights at the intersection all went out at once. The entire street fell into an eerie, absolute silence. My blood ran cold. This couldn't be real. To prove it, the voice started describing me. "You're wearing your gray hoodie, the one with the paint stain on the sleeve. You're holding your keys in your left hand, and you just shifted your weight to your right foot." Every detail was perfect. My breath caught in my throat. Then I heard it, a heavy, ragged breathing on the line. But I could also hear it from somewhere behind me on the street. My eyes darted to the payphone cable. It was shaking violently, as if someone was pulling it from the other end. Suddenly, the voice on the phone let out a blood-curdling scream. "Run, he sees you." My head whipped around, and my heart stopped. Across the street, under a dead streetlight, a tall, dark figure was standing perfectly still, watching me. I didn't even have time to scream. I spun back to the phone, but the line was dead. The receiver was hanging limp, the cord still. The payphone was just an old, broken box again, and the figure across the street had started walking towards me.